Hello students, welcome to NEP Solutions. Students, in this video we will learn a concept of botany. So friends, if you are watching our video for the first time, so please subscribe and watch the video without skipping. And if you have got any doubts, please ask me in the comment section. Okay, let me start the video. The concept is pollen grain. Do you know what is the meaning of pollen grain? Let me tell. Pollen grains are microscopic structures which bear androecium. Androecium, which is a male reproductive organ of a flower. So pollen grain is related to the flower, and pollen grain is a microscopic structure. It is not a macroscopic structure, it is a microscopic structure, and it bear androecium. We all know that androecium is the male reproductive organ and gynoecium is the female reproductive organ. So the diagram of pollen grain is like this. It contains parts like vegetative cell, exine, intine, tube nucleus, generative cell and germ pore. Okay, we will learn definitions of each parts of the pollen grain. Pollen grains are spherical in shape. The shape of the pollen grain is spherical and it has the diameter that is 25 to 30 micrometer. It is very important. And the next, pollen grain has two layered wall. It has two layered wall. One is intine. Intine is the inner layer and it is the smoothest layer of the pollen grain. Why it is smoothest layer? Because it is made up of cellulose and pectin. So it is a smoothest layer, that is intine. And the second layer is exine. Exine is the outer layer and it is hardest layer because it is made up of sporopollenin, which has the ability to withstand high temperature, alkali and acids. That's why exine has the hardest layer, and it is the hardest layer, so it is protective in nature as it is outer layer. And another one, exine has prominent apparatus called germ pore. Germ pore is the prominent apparatus of the exine. And next, germ pore. Germ pore is the place. Here it is, germ pore. Germ pore is the place where pollen tube germinates. Germ pore is the place where the pollen tube germinates. Then fourth point, pollen grains have two type of cells. One is vegetative cell and the generative cell. And this vegetative cell is also called as tube nucleus. Vegetative cell is also called as tube nucleus. As I told, vegetative cell is also called as tube nucleus, and it has generative cell has one single nucleus and it divides to have two nucleus. Before division it has one nucleus, after the division it will have two nucleus. And vegetative cell is bigger and have abundant cytoplasm, which is rich in reserved food material. Cytoplasm is rich in reserved food material. Then vegetative cell has large irregular nucleus. These are the key features of the pollen grains. Let me revise once again the parts of pollen grain. Vegetative cell, it is also called as tube nucleus, and exine, it is the outer layer and it is the hardest layer. Exine is made up of sporopollenin. Sporopollenin has the capacity to withstand high temperature, alkali and acids, and it is protective in nature. And next one, intine, that is the inner layer and smoothest layer, and it is made up of cellulose and pectin. And the generative cell, generative cell has the one nucleus, which on division have two nucleus. And the last one, germ pore. Germ pore is the place where pollen tube germinates. This is the place where the pollen tube germinates. And totally the pollen grain have two kinds of cells, that is vegetative cell and the generative cell. It is very important. When pollen tube starts germinating, the two nucleus of this generative cell move with this, and the whole vegetative cell will be this pollen tube. So when pollen tube starts germinating, the whole pollen grain is vacant or blank, nothing is present in it. So this is about the definition of pollen grain and the parts of the pollen grain and the function of the pollen grain. So do you know what is the study of pollen grain called? Okay, I will tell you. The study of pollen grains is called pollinology. The study of pollen grains is called pollinology. So this is the important concept of the botany, which is very useful for NEP students, PU studying students, and those who are preparing for NEET and other competitive exam students. And if you want videos on any other concept, please comment us. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Visit again.